Thank you so much, Kashinath, for the kind welcome and words. I remember very fondly a few years ago visiting the Central University, and it was a very beautiful experience, and I'm happy to be back with you, though in the virtual mode. And before I start, I would just like to request our participants, as much as possible, please keep your videos on so that I can see you. Because I'm a born teacher. I was born into the teaching profession. I was born into the yoga. I was born into the music, the dance, the Indian culture. Took up my modern medical training. And today I'm professor, yoga therapy and director, Center for Yoga Therapy Education and Research in a deemed to be university at Pondicherry, about which I'll say later. And I think one of the big issues I felt during the COVID pandemic is that we end up talking to screens and we have no idea who's on the other side. So whenever I'm teaching, and I've been conducting thousands of sessions during the pandemic, I have requested people, if possible, to keep the video on so that we can interact. When I see you, I know who is listening to me, and then you see me, I see you. Things are always much better that way. If you are in a place where you cannot put it on, I understand it and no issues. So 100% I'll understand if you don't put it on, but if you can, please do it if you have a choice. I will start off by invoking the wonderful grand masters of the lineages of yoga in our beloved country, and with their blessings, then start off today. Tadparam paryaya vidmahe jnanalingeshwaraya dhimahi tanno guruh prachodayate. Om yogamashrapta Swami Geetananda Giri Guru Maharaj ki Jai. So first of all, I officially thank the university for this wonderful opportunity to be with all of you. One of the famous statements I have made during this pandemic is sharing is caring. And the more we care, the more we share. And the more we share, the more we express our care. We as a human race have lost the capacity to share and care. We have become narrow-minded. We have become fixated on targets and deadlines, forgetting that the most important aspect of being alive is to live every moment as mindfully, as consciously, as joyously as possible. When we live each and every moment mindfully, then our life is well lived. When we care and share, we then make sure that our life is well lived. Because the human being is the one being who is capable of the power of choice. I like to say the superpower of being human is the power of choice. The superpower of being human is the power of choice. We have the choice to choose our attitude towards whatever happens to us. Good, bad, ugly, painful, non-painful. Maharishi Patanjali says, klishta, aklishta, those that are painful and those that are non-painful. We talk about the karma as being Shukla, Krishna, and he says you have to go beyond into Ashukla, Akrishna. You have to go into a state where you are not caught in the opposites. This is the type of growth we want as a human being, because we cannot change what happens to us most of the time. If you can change it, please change it. It is raining, well, get out of the rain if you can. But if not, at least get an umbrella. If you are in a relationship that is abusive, change it. If you cannot, at least learn to keep silent and close your ears. See, the thing is, we need to change the way we perceive that which is happening around us. And then we can choose what we want to be. The power of choice, the power to say, I can, I will, I am able. That is the mantra of the human being. I can, I will, I am able. You know, the animals are bound by instinct. They are bound in the conditioned instinct. We have intuition. In yoga, we say the lower 5 centers are common to animal and human being because they are related to the sensory world. But here you have in this middle of the forehead, the Ajna Chakra, where the power of intuition comes in, inner voice, intuition comes in. And it is at that point that you have the capacity to change by choice. Transformation is always constant. How we are going to adapt to the change? The last 1 year, oh my God, what a year it has been. It has been a year that has been miserable for so many in so many ways. What a pathetic loss of human life. What a pathetic ravage of humanity in the last year. And yet, we have been given opportunities to grow. We have been given opportunities to change the way we think, the way we act, and the way we interact. Imagine the same FDP, if it was before COVID, or if COVID had not happened, I would have to come all the way to Rajasthan. You would all be in Rajasthan. Of course, then you get a chance to go and enjoy a bit of sightseeing. Now you have to do the sightseeing in your own home and office. We would have to go someplace. You have to travel. All the carbon footprint, all the petrol, diesel expenditure with it touching 100, you know the cost now. All of that. And what has happened is now we can all interact. We can interact virtually. And you know what is great about this? We, all of us are in the same place at the same time for the same purpose. What a beautiful opportunity for change to happen. I have been teaching people from all over the world. And in my classes, I have people from every continent. And it's astonishing because for some of them, it is early morning, 4 o'clock. For somebody, it is late night, 2 o'clock. For somebody else, it's midday, 12 o'clock. For somebody, it is 8 p.m. But you know what? Despite all the time differences, despite all the territorial differences, we are all in the same place at the same time. And the past and the future come together in the present moment. Now, when we are all in the same country, I cannot make that type of joke. But just imagine when I have students from America on the same session as students from Australia and New Zealand. So I tell them, in America, it is still yesterday. In New Zealand, it is already tomorrow. And it is today in India. It is today in India, yesterday in America, and tomorrow in Australia and New Zealand. Imagine what a beautiful opportunity, yet we can all come together for the same purpose at the same time. So what I'm trying to say here is the crux of my talk today, before I start my presentation, is on how stress is coming into our life and how we can adapt, how we can change the way we perceive the stress. Because I want you to keep one key note for today, one key word, and that is the phrase. And like Rajinikanth's punch dialogue, एक punch dialogue तो होना चाहिए एक speech में. So the punch dialogue, the punch dialogue is basically, nothing can stress you unless you allow it to stress you. Nothing can stress you unless you allow it to stress you. So किसके पास master control है? हमारा पास है. We have the master control switch, the power of choice. Again, punch dialogue, the superpower of being human is the power of choice. See, even if you don't remember anything else I say, remember my punch dialogues. That itself will be a great learning experience. You are all amazing people. You have come together to fine-tune your skills, fine-tune your capacities. Not that you don't have them. This is fine-tuning. This is refinement. Refinement. You have a tool, you have a capacity, you make it finer by going back to it. Refine. It is like research. You first search, then you go back and you research. You think you know something, again you go back and you search. Same thing with refinement. You think everything is fine. I am a fine teacher, my knowledge is fine, my capacity is fine, and then you go back onto it and you refine it. That is the purpose of these FDPs. They are opportunities for us to grow mindfully. So with that, I'm going to start my sharing the screen, and just let me know if it doesn't come up. 1 second.
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Thank you so much. So today, my basic perspective is going to be to deal with how do we manage stress through yoga, some concepts and some methods. So I'm going to give you both of them. What are the concepts and what are the methods? So when we start this, I would like to introduce to you the wonderful tradition to which I belong, a tradition that goes back thousands of years to Bhrigu Maharishi, who has given us the Atharva Veda, and Agastya Rishi, who has given us the Siddha Vaidya of South India. And coming together, both these systems through my illustrious father, Swami Geetananda Giri, continued by my illustrious mother, Ammaji Meenakshi Devi Bhavanani, I am keeping their teachings alive, taking it forward into the next generation. I am also working at Sri Balaji Vidyapeeth, a deemed university. We have A grade and we are going in for the next round soon, hoping for an upgrade, where for the last 10 years, we have a Center for Yoga Therapy Education and Research. And in this center, our focus is salitogenesis. Now, for many of you, this will be the first time you have heard this word, salitogenesis. We all have known pathogenesis. Pathogenesis ka matlab hai focus on pathology. Genesis ka matlab jananam, to give birth. So what are the factors that give birth to disease? That is pathogenesis. What are the factors that give birth to health? Is salitogenesis. Okay? So it's a very beautiful concept. Salitogenesis is a focus on health. We want to move from a focus on disease to a focus on health. Even in Sanskrit, we have two words for health. One is arogya. The second is swasth. Arogya is a pathogenic definition because we are defining health by the absence of disease. Roga. Roga is disease. So arogya is a pathogenic definition of health, saying if you don't have disease, you are healthy. But swasth, it is a salutogenic definition of health because you are focusing on being the best you. Samadosha sama agnischa samadhatu malakhriya prasanna atma indriya mana swastha ityabhidiyate, says Acharya Shushruta. What a beautiful concept of salutogenesis. And that is what we are trying to work on. If you look at illness and wellness, there is a continuum, and one end is premature death. The other end is absolute high level of wellness. So you have these two extremes, and in the center you have the wellness paradigm. So you have the treatment paradigm, which is the pathogenic part, and we want to move from a treatment paradigm, treating somebody who's unhealthy, to creating positive health, wellness. And that is how we move from one end to the other end of the continuum. Why should we think about salutogenesis? Well, this is a very good cartoon because the father is asking the girl, were you a good girl today? And she says, yes, I didn't play with matches. I didn't run with scissors. I didn't hit my brother with anything bigger than my hand. And so the father says, absence of bad behavior is not the same as good behavior. Just imagine, the absence of disease is not health. It is much, much more. And that is why the question, if you are not bad, are you good? If you are not poor, are you rich? And same way, if you are not diseased, are you healthy? It is much, much more. That is where salutogenesis comes in. And this is why we have been working for the last 10 years, more than 70,000 participants benefiting by yoga and yoga therapy at our center. We have courses all the way up to PhD in yoga therapy, 126 publications, so many celebrations and events, bridging modern medicine and yoga in a modern medical healthcare university. What a beautiful opportunity for symbiotic growth to occur. And through the yoga abhyasa, every student of our healthcare university, dental, medical, allied health, nursing, everybody gets yoga as part of the curriculum, giving it to them right at the beginning. Now, this is an image from a Western country. Imagine in Western countries, right in the operation theater, you can find people doing yoga now to relax themselves, to de-stress in the learning and the teaching environment, in the work environment. Why we cannot have it in our country? Because we are still caught up with a fixation that it has to come from the West to be good. No, we have the best in the East. We have the best here. And that is why regaining our culture, reigniting the spirit of our culture through these beautiful healing sciences. What is the key for this? You're all teachers. You're all people who are dealing with students. You are dealing with human lives. You are dealing with people who often have a lot of suffering in their life. They don't know what to do, how to do it, how to get through this. Family struggle, educational struggle, deadline struggle, thesis struggle, dissertation struggle, exam struggle, understanding struggle, so many struggles. On top of that, add the financial struggles, socio-economic struggles. And that is why to help them, we need empathy. People often confuse this because they get into sympathy. Sympathy is when you fall into the same quicksand like the other person. Now, if you go into the quicksand with the other person, you cannot help them. Then there are two people drowning in the quicksand. And that is why you have to move from sympathy to empathy. You see this person, this is the person who has understood the teaching learning process. You are keeping yourself safe and at the same time giving a hand to help the other person. It may be a colleague, it may be a student, it may be an associate or even a family member or somebody in society. But we have to be careful. We are moving into apathy. And this is what has happened in modern society. Somebody is drowning. Everybody is taking selfies with that person drowning. Somebody has an accident. People are taking selfies. They don't even want to help the person. Even an animal will help another animal who is in distress. So then the question comes, who is the animal and who is the human? If we are not able to feel and help another living being, that is where empathy comes in. A healthy connection with our inner self, Antaratma, having cheerful, strong, compassionate, professional, empathetic attitude towards the suffering. When we are at peace with ourselves, when we are at ease, Sukhasthanam, we can serve others better. By serving others, we serve ourselves. And the more we give, the more we receive. All of you are teachers. You will know that the more you teach, the more you learn. The best teachers for me have been my students. Of course, I have great gratitude to all my teachers and gurus. But every time I teach a class, oh my God, I learn so much because of my students. Because when you teach, you have to express it. You have to articulate it. You have to manifest it. And in that moment, suddenly you have this brain wave and you're like, oh my God, 20 years. And then, oh my God, how I haven't thought about this for 20 years, this new perspective. That is the joy of teaching. And by giving, the more you give, the more you get. And we become pure tools of the divine. It is called Nimitta Bhava. Nimitta is a tool. Narayana Bhava, Narayana Arpana Bhava, and Nimitta Bhava. You become a tool for the divine to flow through you. If you don't like the divine, think of the universe. Think of energy. Think of nature. So it doesn't have to be God in the sense of how people identify God. The universe can flow through you. Maharishi Patanjali says, Ishvara, the highest pure consciousness, is Purveshamapi Guruhu Kalena Navacheda, that teacher who is unparalleled and timeless. That is the principle of the universe. Through that, we actualize ourselves. Abraham Maslow talks about self-actualization. We must be the best version of ourselves. Well, this is how we develop it. By actualizing ourselves through empathy. Where does yoga come in? It enhances the feeling of wellness, a positive attitude, energy levels, memory, attention, concentration, and it reduces anxiety and stress, relieves depression and tension, and so many biochemical changes, blood sugar, cholesterol, thyroid, the cell deterioration, blood pressure, so many positive changes. I like to say, as a medical doctor, whenever I prescribe a medicine, that medicine will have side effects and you cannot escape them. But you know what? When we teach yoga, you don't have side effects, you have side benefits. You do yoga because of your blood pressure. You want to reduce your blood pressure and you do yoga and you start to sleep better. You do yoga because you want to control your blood sugar and your diabetes. You end up finding that your asthmatic wheezing has improved also. These are the side benefits of yoga as opposed to side effects of modern medical drugs. And that is why yoga is preventive, promotive, rehabilitative, and sometimes curative. It's a science, philosophy, and art, as I said, desirable, positive side benefits. And the relief from stress. This stress is the main cause of the psychosomatic disorders. We call them Adija Vyadi. And that is why yoga is not just some asana, standing on your head, doing a rapid breathing called Kapalabhati or alternate nostril Anulom Vilom. That's not, yoga is not just that. Yoga is lifestyle. Achar, vichar, ahar, vihar, vyavahar. How do you use the body? How do you use the mind? What do you feed yourself? How do you relax? And what type of interpersonal relationships do you have? All of this is part of yoga. And that is why the WHO talks about 4 domains of health: physical, mental, social, and spiritual. All 4 domains of health are taken care of by yoga. The first 2 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, Yama Niyama, enhance social health. Asana Pranayama enhance physical health. Pratyahara and Dharana, the mental health, and Dhyana and Samadhi for spiritual health. That is where yoga and modern medicine come together. They speak the same language when you talk of World Health Organization definition of health. When we talk about all of these diseases, the psychosomatic diseases, they all start with what is called the Adi. This is a sense of not being at ease. You don't feel like yourself. You feel that you are different than the universe in which you live. My father used to say, the first disease is the sense of duality. Because from that duality, you say, I am different than the universe. Immediately that split occurs. And when that split occurs, from Dvaitam comes Bhayam. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the largest Upanishad, tells us, from Dvaitam comes Bhayam. And that fear triggers the whole psychosomatic stress response from the Adi all the way down to the Vyadi. How does modern medicine understand this? We call it the stress response. And once upon a time, we all lived in caves, the cavemen, and there would always be a big saber-toothed tiger that was coming to eat us. A saber-toothed tiger was coming to eat us. So we had 2 choices. Ek choice to hai, run away, bhag jao. Bhag mika bhag. Run away. The second is fight. Fight the tiger and win. Fight or flight. And then in psychology, they found the third one, freeze. Freeze ka matlab kya hai? You see that tiger, you don't know what to do. You just stand there. The tiger eats you. If all stress is gone, no more stress because you are not there to feel stressed. That is freeze. As teachers, you all know when freeze occurs. And during Viva Voce, the student comes to Viva, till then everything is fine. And in Viva, you ask them the name, even the name they won't answer. That is the freeze response of the students in Viva Voce. Seriously, I tell you, these are such primitive responses, we need to deal with them. And that is why we need to understand. The whole stress is based on a stimulus, a stressful stimulus that comes into the brain. And it comes into the brain and then it comes down into your endocrine system through the hypothalamus. So it's called neuroendocrine. It works on your immunity. So psychoneuroimmunology. We have been talking about the importance of stress reduction in order to deal with the COVID pandemic. Because the more stressed you are, the more chances of getting infected and having a worse outcome. Reduction of stress enhances the outcome even in COVID. And all of this is coming down, the fight or flight. And you have the acute response and the chronic response. The adrenaline pumps in and bum, 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 bum. You know, you feel your heart going bum, bum. The heart starts to jump out of your chest, okay? Bum, 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 bum. You know those days where you are called to the Vice Chancellor's office and you don't know why they have called. And you're like, oh, what has happened? Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. The adrenaline is pumping. Or you have to do something. Somebody abuses you. You don't like it. How dare you do that? Boom, 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 boom. Immediately the breathing. All will come. When people are angry, they don't just be like that. This is all adrenaline. And then the cortisol comes in. And then it weakens your whole system and your immunity goes down. So if you look at the stress response, people call it the response. I say it is a reaction. Response का मतलब है थोड़ा इधर तो कुछ होना चाहिए. कुछ होना चाहिए इधर. But it doesn't happen. That kuch hota doesn't happen up here. It's happening someplace else. So what is happening is that the alarm is happening. Oh my God, this is a danger. What if something goes wrong? Uske baad kya hai? That is the acute part. Then you learn to tolerate it. चलता है. हमारा देश का attitude है क्या है? चलता है. Adjust करो. That resistance comes into the body and it says, this stressor, I cannot do anything. Learn to manage with it. You manage, and then at one point, you cannot manage anymore. You go into exhaustion. And it is in that exhaustion time that all the psychosomatic disorders manifest. Us samay tak you have managed it. For 10 years, you have managed your stress. And then suddenly the heart attack comes in. You have managed the stress and suddenly a diabetic complication comes in. You manage the stress and suddenly a stroke occurs. Why? Your body was fighting it. You were not changing anything. You are just compensating for it. But then at one point, the breakdown occurs. This is why we need to reduce what we call the allostatic load. So you see, when you have that alarm, fight, flight, you come to normal. You cope with it, you come to normal. But if you don't cope, the key here, what is happening? Fight, khatam ho gaya. Flight, khatam ho gaya. Coping, khatam ho gaya. So kya hai? In 3 situations, fight, flight and coping, you have solved the stress. Teaching, learning mein hota. Difficult students will always be there in class. You cannot wish them away. You cannot say, don't give me only good student. Aisa nahi hota. It is like all teachers. We cannot all be perfect teachers. We are all a work in progress. Nobody is perfect. We are all a work in progress. Are we enhancing ourselves? Are we becoming better than we were yesterday? Have our capacities and capabilities enhanced in the past few days, few months, few years, few lifetimes? This is what is happening. But fight, flight and coping. But if you don't, you go into this exhaustion and disease and mental breakdown occurs. This is why we have burnout. Why do we have burnout amongst the teaching fraternity? We have burnout because the demands are so much. Stress is basically an imbalance between capacity and demand. When the capacity is less, you get stressed, or when the demand is more, you get stressed. So what do you need to do? Enhance the capacity. That is why FDP programs are done. Enhance the capacity, and by doing that, reduce a bit of demand also. I always say you have to deal with both, not just one side. You become stronger, yes, but if the demand is still high, you will be stressed. So एक balance होना चाहिए. Demand अभी इधर है, capacity इधर है. You are stressed. Bring down the demand, enhance the capacity, and you find that balance. That balance is what yoga is all about. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Siddhya asiddhayo samabhutva. In siddhi and asiddhi, in success and failure. What a beautiful concept the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna gives us. People think the Bhagavad Gita is a religious text. No, it is a yogic scripture. Amazing teachings of yoga are given by Yogeshwar Krishna. More than 108 verses of pure yoga in that scripture. Those we need to focus upon. So if you look at the stress, Bilkul, if you have no stress, no performance, okay? So if somebody is going to tell you that I'm going to give you your salary every month, even if you don't go to work a single day, not too many people will go to work, okay? If our salary coming to our bank account is guaranteed, in spite of performance, performance will go down. So kuch performance ka indicator hona chahiye. Students also the same thing. If you say you come to class, even if you don't come to class, you will pass. Nobody will come to class. I'll give you guarantee. As a teacher for 3 decades, I know this. If you say there is no exam, you will not be evaluated and you will be passed, no student will come to class because that is what is driving them. But then, kitna drive kar sakte? So you have to drive a little bit. Either to optimum, the maximum activity. You look at this person, is looking like Rajinikanth in full, tug attire there with the cooling glass and the cigar. Itna so dum hai. Such a charismatic personality. Uske baad kya hai? Tension start ho gaya. More demand, more demand, more demand. You are teaching 20 hours per month. No, you should teach 40 hours per month. You're only teaching 40 hours per month. You can teach 60 hours per month. What will happen to you? You will go down like this and you will end up totally exhausting. That is why it is very important to remember to relax every now and then. If you look at the stress curve, the same thing. When you're inactive, too little stress, nothing happens. Laid back, fatigue. This is the point. Optimal stress is where you want to be, right here. The optimal stress, you need some stress. It is called eustress. Eustress is good stress. But then if there's too much, exhaustion, anxiety, panic, and breakdown, burnout occurs. And what is happening today is our teaching community is being pushed to burnout. The demands that are put, you are put in as a teacher. And then you have to become a clerk in addition to being a teacher. In addition to being a clerk, you have to also do the peon's work. And next you will have to do the chowkidar work also. This is what is happening. See, you came in as a teacher because you have a drive to teach, not to stand outside and see who is coming in and going out of the classroom. You should be given the freedom to just teach, not worry about even attendance. That is my perspective here. A teacher should be teaching in such a way that no student should want to go out of the class. That is the type of, amazing flow we want in teaching. I remember one of my surgery professors. I did my MBBS from Nagpur University in Varda. And I remember my professor, Jora Purkar sir. He used to teach classes for 4 hours continuously. 4 hours, non-stop surgery class. And no student would miss that class. Nobody would go out. And he would not take attendance. What an amazing capacity. Okay. Now imagine I told him you have to stand at the door and you have to take attendance and see who's coming in and who's going out and whether that boy is talking to this girl or not, or whether that is happening there or not, or go and sit in the library and do additional duty of piling up the library books. He would have left his job. But what is happening today? Stress is being put on people. Stress is being put on people. Load is being put on people. And suddenly one day, the straw that breaks the camel's back and everything, khatam. This is where stress comes in. You remember I said the power of choice is the superpower of being human? Punchline? Punch dialogue? Yes. Stressor is coming in. Now you have a choice. Is that stress going to make you a better you? That is eustress. Eustress is when you say, fine, this stress is my muscle building. This is my bulwarker. This is my muscle building exercise, and you become a better version. H plus, salitogenesis. That same stress, you say, oh my God, stress. And it has a negative impact. You go into distress and you go down pathogenesis, H minus, which is disease. Salitogenesis, H plus, pathogenesis, H minus. What is making the difference? Not the stressor. Stressor to same hai. Kya difference hai? Hamara perspective, hamara attitude. How have I chosen to perceive the stress? And that is where the biggest change occurs. Change comes from within. And this is why I wanted to share with you something which I share with all our MBBS students in our university. I share a couple of these slides with them when they come and join to become MBBS. Before they learn anatomy, physiology, I'm already there. Yoga department comes in even before anatomy, physiology to try and give them a perspective on life. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Ek side to we have a glass, we say it is half full. Dusra side, the person says it is half empty. And then someone says, well, it is half filled with water, half filled with air. That is a new perspective. And then someone comes along and takes the water and drinks it. And he says, that was a nice cup of water. Perspective. A painter comes along, he puts a paintbrush in it and creates a beautiful masterpiece. Perspective. Is the cup full? Is it empty? Half full, half empty? Depends on our perspective. We are the perceiver. We have the power of choice. Another beautiful image that I always share with our students. You have an image here. And what is happening? An orange light is coming from this side. And it is creating an impression of a red circle, orange circle with a black square. The light is blue from this side. A blue circle with a black circle in it. But what is actually the truth? It is none of those. It is something else. So which angle are we looking at things from? What is our drishti kona? In yoga, we call it drishti kona. What is the angle from which we are choosing our perspective? Because the angle from which we perceive will determine how we perceive what we are perceiving. So hamara drishti kon, that is the very important aspect. And for those of you who know about Pavlovian conditioning, you know the experiment that Pavlov used to ring a bell and check the digestive secretions of the dog. Here you're having the dog's perspective. And the dog is saying, see what I can make Pavlov do. As soon as I drool, he will smile and write in his little book. So the dog is thinking it has conditioned Pavlov. Pavlov thinks he has conditioned the dog. This is what life is like. The husband thinks he is the boss of the house. The wife knows that he is not and she is the boss. Aisa to hona chahiye. There are different perspectives are there. And this is another image. You will love this image. This is the Rhino Picasso. You know, Picasso was the very famous painter in Europe. And this painter, that guy, so this is Rhino Picasso who's making all these beautiful paintings. Itna bahut badhiya painting hai. And in every painting, what is there? The rhinoceros horn is there. Every painting this Rhino Picasso is doing, it has the rhinoceros horn. Iska matlab kya hai? In everything you see, your horn is there. What is your horn? It is our ego. In everything we perceive, our ego is part and parcel of the picture we perceive. And that is why this rhinoceros horn, that is part of everything this rhinoceros is perceiving. When we perceive life, our ego is part of it. Until and unless the ego is taken out of the picture, our perspective will not be correct. Because the moment the ego is in the perspective, the ego wants to be right all the time. The ego doesn't want to be wrong ever. The ego doesn't like to be wrong. Because the ego is based on survival. I am correct. I am the boss. I am the head of the department. I am the vice chancellor. I am the chief minister. I am the president. Whatever. So I am right. Whatever I say is right. And because you are not accepting what I say, I destroy you. Because then your perspective is a threat to my perspective. Stress ka matlab kya hai? Threat-based perception. And it is all ego-based. And this is why when we talk about virtues, we are talking about importance of virtues. We want a teacher to have good virtues. We want a student to have good virtues. We want human beings in our world to have good virtues, the citizens to have. But you know what? Integrity, which is a beautiful virtue, if it is not there, you go into corruption. Too much of it, you go into legalism. This is where we start to understand the virtues can go into a huge spectrum. You don't want to be at this end. You don't want to be at that end. You want to be in the middle. The middle path is the path of balance. Again, yuktahara viharasya, as Lord Krishna says. It is the middle path. It is the path of moderation. Discernment becomes foolishness or judgmentalism. Love becomes selfishness or enablement. Respect can become disregard or idolatry. Humility can become pride or degradation. Courage can become cowardice or foolhardiness. All of it is the spectrum. You want to be in the middle. You want to be in the balance. That is the role we have as a community of teachers. We have to be in the middle, because if we are not in the middle, how will our students be in the middle path? When we go to the extremes, the students cannot be balanced. We owe it to our student population. We owe it to the educational community to be balanced, to be in the middle. That is where the balance comes. And that is why the Rig Veda, the most ancient text, tells us, Ano Badra Kritabo Yanto Vishwataha. Let noble thoughts come to us from all directions. Not just my direction, all directions. And again, Ekam Sad Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. Truth is one, people describe it variously. What beautiful, noble thoughts of our culture. And आजकल तो क्या होता है? My perspective is correct, you are wrong. No. See, we have to understand. You can also be right, I can also be right. And you can also be wrong, I can also be wrong. दोनों perspective होता है. We should be open to the other person's perspective. That is the most biggest choice we can make, is to be open-minded, open-hearted. Open-minded and open-hearted. Not empty-headed. Not empty-headed. Open-minded, open-hearted, not empty-headed. And that is why the balance between stress and relaxation. Stress ka matlab hai sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic nervous system is relaxation. It helps healing. It helps to rest and recuperate and get your energy back. And all of this is coming through our psycho-neuro-immuno-endocrinological. That is the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immune system. And when stress comes into it, what happens? Nervous, endocrine, immune, nervous, endocrine, immune, nervous, endocrine. It starts to go and bilkul pagal ho jate. As we say, Vinashakala viparita buddhi. Vinashakale viparita buddhi. In Tamil we say Atyakaranaka buddhi matte. When rage and all emotions go haywire, your intellect goes down. It goes into the junk. Trash bin mein jata. And that is why when stress comes in, all of this is happening. But then what happens? When yoga comes in, it goes the other way. Remember, stress is the red one, danger. Red is the green, environmental friendly, eco-friendly. And what is happening? The same nervous system, endocrine, immune system, the same pathway. But now it goes the other way. And you enhance the healing. You facilitate the rehabilitation. And you start to be able to manage things better. Where does it all come? We all have stress. Environmental stress, trauma and abuse, individual differences, behavioral responses leading to the stress. But it all comes in at the point of perception. And that is why this perception of stress is where it all comes in. If you change the perception of stress, you have reduced the stress burden. And this is why a beautiful tool we use in yoga research, Perceived Stress Scale, PSS. Perceived Stress Scale, till now, all the research studies using PSS and yoga have shown improvement, have shown a change in the positive direction. Why? Because yoga is not just a physical practice. It is a lifestyle. It is a change in attitude. It is the development of a holistic, bigger perspective. And suddenly you change your perception of the stressor. By changing your perception of the stressor, you are not stressed anymore. I'll give you an example. I told you I did my MBBS long back in Varda. And I really was happy because being from Pondicherry, you know, the Tamilian culture is more my culture. Though my mother was from America, my father was Anglo-Indian, half Indian and half Sindhi and half Irish. That's why the Bhavanani is there. But, you know, growing up with the Tamil culture, I speak Tamil, I think Tamil, I eat Tamil, I drink Tamil, basically that's it. So it was good to go to Maharashtra and in Vidarbha to have to speak Hindi, and not only Hindi, but Marathi also. Because without Marathi, I couldn't deal with my patients in the hospital. So it was good to learn another language. It was good to learn another culture. It was good to see other people who lived differently, who spoke differently, who thought differently. And immediately my perspective started to grow. And as my perspective grew, I became more accommodating of all the differences in people. But one story I like to always say is, in our hostel, we had 4 floors in our college. And our college, so now it has become one of the best deemed universities, Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences now. Those days it was under Nagpur University. But in that 4 floors, when we would come back from holiday, chutti ke baad to, you bring your luggage and you come back to the hostel. What used to happen is that some of my friends and seniors would be on the balcony and they will welcome. You have all been in college, you have all had friends, and you know how friends talk to each other. When they welcome you back, it is not with very, very nice word. It is choicest abuse in all Indian languages. Because in our college, we had people from every language. So I know all the bad words in Gujarati, Marathi, Konkani, Bengali, because all my friends and all will be abusing from there. And welcoming. I'm not going to say those words because they're all unparliamentary. But you know what? I won't get stressed. I will have all endorphin, enkephalin, feel good hormone. Hey, hamara dost hai, they are welcoming me back. This is what we have amongst friends. And they will use the most vulgar language to talk to you and you will feel, dost hai, my friend hai. It shows the friendship. You have feel good hormone. Now I'll tell you something. That same word, you are driving your scooter or your car on the road and somebody who you don't know tells you even one of those words, you will not have feel good hormone, you will have adrenaline and you will get down and punch that person in the nose. The word is the same. The word has not changed. That is what I'm trying to tell you. The word has not changed. Your perspective, your perception of the person uttering the word, your perspective and perception of the context of that word being uttered has changed your response to that same word. And that is the same with stress. Our perspective, our perception of the context of the stress determines how we are going to respond to the stress. Eustress, positive health, H+. Distress, negative health, pathogenesis. The choice is ours. And this is why I always like to remind people, a diamond, it is just a little piece of charcoal. Chota se ek charcoal hai. But it handles stress exceptionally well. Because that diamond has, that charcoal handled the stress very well, it became the diamond. It became valuable. If it didn't handle the stress, it will be charcoal and it will only burn. We always talk about burning. Jalta rehte. Always that burning, heartburn, stomach burn, gastric burn that comes with everybody's, envy and jealousy. See, the thing is, charcoal burns. You handle a little bit of stress, but not too much, you become graphite. You write somebody else's story. When you say, give me more, I'll handle it. I will face up to the challenge. At that point, you become the diamond. And remember, the diamonds are valued the highest. And we are all potential diamonds. Swami Vivekananda so beautifully says, every soul is potentially divine. Same way, we are all that potential diamond. But we need to go through the process of heat, friction, and pressure to become that diamond in our life. So one, we can modify the stressor. 2, change the reaction to it. Change your perception. And ultimately, the biggest thing to remember is life is one big lesson. That's what life is. It is one big lesson. Everybody who comes into your life is teaching you something. If somebody teaches you, is good to you, remember that is a good experience of what to be. Somebody is bad to you, understand it is an experience of what not to be. So from the people who are good, learn what to be. From the people who are not good, learn what not to be. And then, like Hamlet, to be or not to be, well, that is where the choice lies. That is where the choice lies. One of the great scientists of India, Dr. Selvamurthy, he retired as the director of the DRDO, Research and Analysis, and he was director of DIPAS in Delhi, a very close friend of our former president, Shri Abdul Kalam. And Selvamurthy ji was visiting our university recently, and he gave a beautiful talk, and he said, through yoga, you can modify your perception of stress. That is the first thing. You optimize your response to it, and then you can release the pent-up stress. 3-in-1 action. We talk about, Vicks action 500, double action, triple action. All those commercials will tell you yoga should have a commercial. It is 3-in-1 action for stress. Anti-stress effect of yoga is 3-in-1. Modify the perception of stress, optimize the response to it, and release the pent-up stress. For this, there's a very beautiful practice, and I'm going to lead you through it, and I request you all to join me for this practice. It's a very beautiful practice, and this is based on a concept of using sound, nada, to relieve the emotional toxicity, the emotional hang-ups that are blocking us. So it is called Bhavana Shuddhi. It is cleansing the attitude and the emotions, and it is an action, so it is a Kriya. So it is called Nada Bhavana Shuddhi Kriya. And what we do here is that we are going to be using the sound as we tap the abdomen. So the first part is the upper abdominal region, where you're sort of, just after lunch, you still remember a little bit of your food. That part is where the solar plexus is. The solar plexus is where performance anxiety is there. You have to go and teach today. Suddenly your colleague is absent. They say, go and teach that class. You are not prepared. You are like, what will I do? How will I do? Will the students like me? What if I don't teach well? What if they throw stones at me? What if they complain about me to the principal or the head of department? Itna to performance anxiety ho jata hum log ke liye. You have to go and sing on stage. You have to dance on stage. What happens? Stomach area to sink ho jata. Butterflies in the stomach, they say. So this is the performance anxiety. Dusra anxiety and stress for teachers, especially teaching learning, is relationship anxiety. Will my students like me or not? All of us want our students to like us. I don't think there's any teacher who goes saying, I don't want my students to like me. I don't think it's possible. See, you may say, I don't care if they like me. That's a different one. But we all want to be loved. We all want to be liked, okay? That is part of being human. So the heart region is that response, the relationship anxiety. Will they like me? Won't they like me? Will my colleagues like me or not? What if they don't like me? All this relationship stuff that comes. Then comes the next one up here in the throat region, this upper chest region. This is the status anxiety. I am one big professor. I am head of department. I am the principal. I am the vice chancellor. All this, all this, the head becomes bigger and bigger. That is all up here. And because of this, kya ho jata? We get offended. How dare you talk to me like that? I am talking and you are standing. I am talking and you are walking away. All this, kyun ho jata? Please understand, I'm not criticizing anybody. I am trying to give you an understanding of where the anxiety and stress comes from. Because of our attachment to position. Because we think we are somebody very, very special. When somebody does something, we get offended. English mein bolte, you take offense. Okay. You never give offense. You always take. They say offense is always taken, never given. But what happens? We always, I take offense. How dare she speak like that? How dare he do that? This is all up here. and we strangulate ourselves. ऐसा हो जाता. We hang ourselves with our anxiety. So we want to get rid of this. इसके लिए तो 3 शब्द है, 3 sounds. The first one is at the stomach area, and we bang and we go ha 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 ha. The sound is ha. The sound of ha is the sound of the sun. I like, the fact that the Central University of Rajasthan, CURAJ, becomes Suraj. I always think about it. The Suraj, it becomes the beautiful sun energy. Of course, you have to pronounce the C as Su. CU as Su, and then you get that Suraj. That I used to love that thing there when I was there. Ha, ha. Ha is the sound of the solar plexus. Ta is the sound of the lunar. That's why Hatha Yoga is uniting the sun center and the moon center. That's different. So, ha, when you make this sound ha, you are working on the solar plexus and you are enhancing the serotonin secretion. Serotonin is a feel-good hormone. It is a feel-good neurotransmitter. What it is doing is making you feel good, serotonin. So, ha, 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 you feel good. The second one is at the chest. Ho, 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 ho. And what happens when you go ho? You are letting go of all this relationship anxiety, all this stress that is going to give you a heart attack later. Hamara Hindi movie mein, they'll have one fight and heart attack ho jayega. The girl will walk out of the house and the father will die of a heart attack. All this emotional thing. Relieve it. Ho, 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 ho. And then up here is he. So when we make this sound, what are we doing? We are letting go of all the pent-up stress and anxiety that is poisoning us. That is toxicity. You are detoxifying yourself. Okay? So I want you all to try wherever you are. You can keep your mic muted, otherwise it will be very, very noisy. But just try it with me. Humor me a little bit. When I teach kids as young as 5. And of course, I teach people who are into the 80s also. So I teach wide spectrum. And this is an amazing practice. Okay? So just come with me and let's try. Okay? Ready? And you'll automatically feel better. This is why always post-lunch session to humko dete. Sub conference mein, sub FTP mein humko post-lunch dete. Kyunki unko pata hai. Dr. Ananda will keep people awake and will not let them sleep. इसलिए हमको एक हमेशा एक opportunity मौका देता. ठीक है, fine. Okay, ready? Ha 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 ho 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 he 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 he. Immediately what happens? I have loosened up. You are not doing so. You are not loosening. When you do, you loosen it. करने से उसका फलन होता, नहीं करने से नहीं फलन होता. अकर्मणी हो जाएगा, not karma. Okay, fine. Then what do? You have to address the back of the head. This back of the head is your brainstem. Brainstem is where the survival instinct is there. इसलिए if the brainstem is damaged, you are called brain dead and organ तो transplant कर देते. That is where the survival instinct, in yoga we call it abhinivesha, klesha. It is wanting to survive at any cost. So when we do here, what do? We say me, 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 me. So we are addressing the fact that we are always thinking only me, me, me. Then we come to the front of the brain. This is the part with the buddhi. Di, 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 di. We want to have the capacity of the buddhi awakening. Dhiyo yona prachodayat, as the Gayatri mantra tells us. That dhi, which is the buddhi, which is the prefrontal cortex, the Agnya chakra, we want it to open up. And then we realize all of this is nonsense. Everything is Maya, ultimately. So what we do is we throw it away. We say, go, 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 go. And we just throw it out. See, when I do it in Tamil Nadu, we use the term po. Po means go in Tamil. When I'm teaching in English, I say go. So we can say jao, 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 jao if you want in Hindi also. See, the idea is you bring up all the stress. You address it consciously. You say, I don't want to be locked in the me, self alone. You want to expand into the capacity of the buddhi, and then you want to throw it out. Join me, we'll do just once more. Later on, if you are interested on YouTube, there are about 1,000 videos of mine. You can see them. And you search Nada Bhavana Shuddhi. There's a specific video I have done which you can all enjoy and share with people. You just have to search for Bhavanani and yoga, and you will get everything is free. YouTube, thousands of videos are free. SlideShare, thousands of slides, including this slide, will also be uploaded. It is free. All my papers are on Academia, ResearchGate for free. Because I believe in copy left, not copyright. Nothing belongs to me. It is all our great rishis have given. I am only sharing. That's all, right? So let us try it again, okay? Join me. Ha, 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 ha. Ho, 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 ho. He, me, 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 de, 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 go, 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 go. And immediately you feel lighter. Immediately you feel happy. You feel smiling. Our university made the medical students. I didn't know. I always do this with them. Then they had one function. So then the guy was, the MC was on stage, and he says, and now we invite Dr. Ananda, who we call the Ha-Ha professor. Humko naam to rakh diya Ha-Ha professor, kyunki always I'm teaching them to do this. Ha-Ha professor. I said, that's a good name. I should keep it on my visiting card. Because people have become no professors these days. You have to be joyful. Knowledge is joyful. Wisdom is joyful. I don't know why we all become so morose. Oh my God, as if the world's not going to end tomorrow. Don't worry, okay? And it's already tomorrow in Australia. So then why are you worried about the world ending tomorrow? So when we talk about stress management, change how you see the situation, set realistic goals, exercise. The best time of the day is in the morning. I go cycling and I just enjoy myself. It's a beautiful time just to be with yourself. When I sing, I'm just lost in the music. It's a beautiful way to lose. Make sure you sleep, and never compromise on sleep. People ask me, Dr. Ananda, you do so much. You're always publishing. You're always teaching. Do you ever sleep? I say, yes, I sleep a lot. That is why I'm productive. If you sleep adequately, you will be productive. If you compromise on sleep, you will become unproductive. Relaxation techniques. Find out what is important. Throw out the nonsense. Why keep the nonsense? It will clog up your system. Too many unnecessary files in your computer will slow down your computer. Too many unnecessary things in your head will slow down your capacity to think. Throw it out. So, all of these type of ideas are there. Use group or social support, creative imagery, breathing exercises, proper nutrition, time management, rest and exercise. So many beautiful ways are there that you can start to find a way to let off the steam. It is important to let off the steam. So many times in our university, we'll go in for meetings. And as you go up the hierarchy, it is fine when you're in the junior faculty. When you become one of the senior faculty, every meeting you are called and every meeting to bilkul bakwas hota, nothing else happens. I say committees are just come, eat, have tea and don't commit. Come, eat, have tea and don't commit. That is what committees are. And you get so stressed up with it. Itna stress ho jata that sometimes my vice chancellor used to tell me, Dr. Ananda, I think, everybody should do a little bit. What we do is shake like this. Okay, we shake a lot. We shake like this very nicely, giving a good shake, 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 shake. We catch all the tension and then we throw it out. And this we always teach, throwing out the tension, throwing out the negativity. And my vice chancellor used to say, Dr. Ananda, meeting is becoming very boring. I think, you need to give all our faculty around. You can imagine all senior faculty. Everybody gets a bit upset. Who cares? You are helping people reduce stress. Better reduce stress than spend time in the hospital. Okay, I'll tell you that much. Do you want to spend time reducing stress or spend time sick in the hospital? Well, I'm sure your choice will not be to be in hospital. As a doctor, I'll tell you it's not a good place to be. Okay, so get rid of the stress, because healing depends on lifestyle. It depends on relaxation, it depends on attitude, and it depends on breathing. One of the most important things you can do is choose how you want to breathe. That is where the pranayama is such a vital tool in yoga. You see, normally we are all just breathing. We don't even think about it. Okay? Ever since I started this afternoon session, till now, I don't think any of you would have thought about your breathing till now. Right? You were listening to me, or you were busy doing whatever you were doing, or watching your computer screen, or playing with your mobile, or you were doing something. Most probably, none of you even thought about your breathing even once in this time. That is how we have taken it for granted, because it's happening automatically. Now in yoga, in pranayama, we are choosing. Again, the superpower of being human is the power of choice. We are choosing how we are going to breathe. I'm going to breathe. Okay, let's breathe 6 counts in, 6 counts out. Okay, breathe out. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now hold, 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now hold, 1, 2, 3. See, something as simple as this, suddenly what has happened? An activity that was not in your consciousness at all, suddenly you have brought it into your consciousness. Something which you were not having any control at all, you suddenly have made a powerful choice of regulating the way you will breathe, how deep you will breathe, how long you will breathe. Oh my God, suddenly, how much you are exercising that power of choice by just changing the pattern of breathing. That is the power of the breath. One of the most important ones. This is just some of the work. You can see, isn't this beautiful? All our medical students in the classroom itself having a yoga break. And this is something that really makes me happy. When we can get to the young students and give them these teachings, I would suggest that the Central University should also take this up, that let there be a short 15-minute yoga break every day, and let the kids, wherever they are, do it. And that is how it happens. All of this is happening by bringing the body and the mind together, using the breath. You are integrating the breath pattern with the movement of the body. As I breathe, I lift my hands. As I breathe out, I lower my hands. So the physical movement of the lifting of the hands is now being done mindfully. As I lift, I'm breathing in. So the mindful physical movement with the mindful breathing. And suddenly the mind and the body have become friends. The mind and body, which had become enemies for many people, become friends. And when you improve this way, all aspects of managing the stress, you start to gain that capacity. Simple body movements, mindfully done with the breath. Suddenly you change everything, you change. And so many practices can be done. There are variety. And my dear friend Sadhbir Khalsa at Harvard has given this beautiful image, how the practices are helping for fitness, self-regulation, regulating the self, developing awareness and the capacity of spirituality, thus enhancing the global human functionality physical and mental health, physical, mental, emotional performance, social responsibility, quality of life, a life purpose, meaning in life, and spirituality. So many benefits are there. Amazing benefits that all come with the practice. And all of this is based on one simple formula. Where the mind goes, there the energy flows. Yatho mana tata prana. Yatho mana tata prana. Where the mind goes, yatho mana tata, there prana, the energy flows. And by using the mind mindfully, we are changing the brain. And by changing the brain, we are changing our mind for the better. What a beautiful concept. Self-directed neuroplasticity. When you start to work like this, you will prevent the degenerative changes in the brain that come with aging. Age-related degeneration can be combated by self-directed neuroplasticity. We have tools that induce psychophysical harmony, working at bringing the body and the mind together. Balancing the emotional volatility. Emotions are so strong in all of us. Most of the time, we are slaves to the emotions. We should be a master of the emotion, not be a slave. Because when the emotions run your life will be a mess. It is only when you can go above the emotions that you will start to regain control over your own life. We develop these psychological attitudes, how to witness life with what is called Sakshi Bhava, developing a capacity to understand the other perspectives. Contemplation, relaxation, and meditation, these are very vital tools in the yoga toolkit, enhancing the spiritual awareness of who we are. We have come with a purpose, a life of selfless service, Nishkama Seva, enabling us to have that wellness, love, and amazing tejas. Tejas we become. And relieving suffering and pain, because suffering and pain has become so much part of human life. How to transcend it, that is there. So we have simple practices. Uni-nostril, alternate nostril breathing. Whenever you are stressed, use your thumb. Close the right nostril. Now the left nostril is called Chandra Nadi. Chandra means the moon. It is cooling. Okay? So just all you have to do is close your right nostril. Breathe out. Now breathing in through the left. And breathing out through the left. Breathing in. And breathing out. That's all you need. 5 minutes of this. 5 minutes of this left nostril breathing. We call it Chandra Nadi Pranayama or Chandra Anuloma Viloma Pranayama or simple Chandra Pranayama. Left is Chandra, right is Surya. Okay? So close the sun, Surya, only through the moon. You want to be cool like the moon, not hot like the sun. And immediately your blood pressure will be coming down. Your stress levels will be coming down. The circulation in your body, all over your body will become better. And so much publication we have done in the last 20 years on this for diabetes, for hypertension. I tell you, this is amazing. Even yesterday, one of my students from North America wrote to me. She said, I was getting so stressed. And, you know, recently I saw your video on Chandra Nadi Pranayama. I started doing it and she mapped how her blood pressure was falling in half an hour by doing this. It was just astonishing. Amazing. You have a stressful meeting. You're going to go to a meeting and you know it's going to be stressful. Do 5 minutes of this before the meeting. It will be much better, healthier outcome. You have gone to a meeting, you have gone to a class and you are feeling stressed. Come back to your office, sit down. 5 minutes of this immediately. You are traveling in the bus to work. During the duration of travel, you can be doing Chandra Nadi. You will be cool, calm, and even your students will start to say you are Professor Cool, because you'll be so cool. No trauma, no tension. Amazing, I tell you. Now you say, what if I'm feeling very lethargic? What if I'm feeling very tired? In the afternoon, I have to give a class. Use your ring finger to close the left nostril and through the right nostril. Remember, Surya is heating, activating. So start to do 5 minutes of Surya Nadi and you will again feel energetic. You will be on fire and you will go into class and your students will be, wow, what happened to Prof today? The class was on fire today. That is the type of energy that will be there. One of my students in Australia, he used to drive a lot. He was working with the, refrigeration, AC in all the big hospitals. He used to drive and he used to feel very sleepy while driving. So when I taught this, he will take the car to the side. 5 minutes, he will do right nostril breathing, get rid of the sleepiness and continue driving. It was an amazing tool. If you feel very sleepy in the daytime, it is called narcolepsy. Many people in the daytime, they have too much of sleep. The right nostril breathing will balance that. You feel stressed, left nostril breathing. Very simple. And if you cannot do it, lie down. You see, if you lie down, whatever side is up, remember, whatever side is up. So in this image, you'll see her, what side is up? Her right side is up. So she's lying down. It's called Surya Nadi Asana. If you lie down like this, within 10-15 minutes, automatically your right nostril will be working. If you lie down like this with the left side up, it is called Chandra Nadi Asana. Within 10-15 minutes, the average is about 13 minutes. What will happen is your left nostril will become dominant. You will automatically be doing Chandra Nadi Pranayama without your fingers also. So this is what we use in hospital in patient who cannot move around, bedridden patient. You want to reduce the anxiety, put them in Chandra Nadi Pranayama. And if at night you're not getting to sleep, you're having insomnia, many teachers have insomnia because they're thinking, what am I going to teach? This midterm is coming up, the exam paper I have to set, I have to do this. Lot of anxiety. Lie down in Chandra Nadi Asana. Immediately you'll have a good night's sleep. Or do Chandra Nadi Pranayama before you go to sleep. This is based on the right and left brain. Because your right brain is all about creativity and relaxation. Left brain is all stress and activity and activation. Left brain is always thinking how many classes I have to teach, what I have to teach, when I have to teach, all that. Right brain is thinking, how can I make the class a wonderful experience? How can I make the process of learning enjoyable for my students? How can I bring color into my life? That is why the right brain is colorful. The more you work on the right brain, the less stressed you are. And right nostril connected to left brain, left nostril, right brain. So you want to be creative, do left nostril breathing. You want to work on mathematics and analysis, do right nostril breathing. Beautiful. These are ancient techniques given by our wonderful rishis that can be adapted. I told you the shake and throw, this is called Nasarga Mukha Bhastrika. Catch this, shake up the, this is how you have to shake like this. So that there's no tension at all. Huh? Nicely, paka shake. And then what I like to say is do it even more. Like that. And no tension at all. Catch hold of all the tension you can think of, all the negativity. Take in a deep breath. And throw it out. That's it. Free ho gaya. Huh? Koi problem nahi hai. You have thrown it away. You have told that problem, I don't want you. But what we are doing? We are giving all the problem and we're putting in our head and making our head a junk box. Throw it away. Again, we are teaching, we are sitting, so giving a nice stretch. This thala, this type of stretch. And after stretching, you just turn the head to the right and to the left. Ah, what a beautiful relief. This is especially during COVID pandemic with all the Zoom. Zoom, 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 Zoom. We have become zombies. And it has become the Zoom tomb. All the time on Zoom and Google Meet. Oh my God. And all these. The worst one, of course, for me is Microsoft Teams. Crazy one which I have to use for Ministry of Ayush. Seriously, I've never got how to use it. Zoom is much, much better. So thank you for having this on Zoom. But what is happening? Shoulders, tightness, neck tightness, relieving it with the thala. Similarly, a very beautiful practice where what we do is we stretch up into the Anjali, bring it down to the head, then to the forehead, to the throat, and to the heart. So giving a nice stretch up into the Anjali, a nice stretch up, stretch, stretch, stretch. Then bringing it down to the top of the head, then to the forehead, the face, the throat, and the heart. What you are doing is all this beautiful energy. This is called the Pranamaya Kosha. All that beautiful energy connected to the higher centers, the chakras. Those energies you are making part of you. You are bringing into your own nervous system, connecting to the higher. Again, spinal health. If you are in a chair, just to turn, giving a nice twist, even from the chair. This all can be done. You can do it in your office chair. You can do it at home. You can do it wherever you are. I see many of you doing. Immediately, एक relief हो जाता. Otherwise, the spine is getting like fixated. It is getting fixated. Again, moving the head to the right, moving to the left, moving the head up, moving it down. Excellent relief for the neck. The neck is the pathway, the bridge between the head and the rest of the body. So if the neck is not healthy, you will not be healthy. Very beautiful practice. It is called Brahma Mudra because head goes to the 4 directions. Near the university, they have a nice Brahma temple. I was there, I visited one of the few Brahma temples. Yes? Pushkar Brahma temple. So Brahma Mudra is there. And one more practice, this is called Spanda Nishpanda. Now, the SVyasa calls it instant relaxation technique. We call it Spanda Nishpanda. I say instant coffee, instant noodle is not good, but instant relaxation is very good. So, ispe kya hai? From your toes, you start to tighten up. You tighten the toes, the calf muscle, the knees, the thighs, the hip, the abdomen, the back, the hands, the face, and you go into as tight as possible, hold the tight, and then you let go. Again, the power of choice. What you are doing is you are tightening the whole body. It is called Spanda. Spanda is the tightening part, the contraction, the tightening, and then letting go. Beautiful practice. Let's just try it once, okay? Let's all try it wherever you are. Okay, close your eyes, sit in a comfortable way. Start to tighten your toes, your ankles, your knees, your thighs, your hips, abdomen, back, chest, shoulders, hands, tightening the hands, the face, holding the tightness, tight. And now let go. It's a wonderful practice because what you have done is you have consciously created activation, deactivation. You have, through your mind, said, I am going to experience the peak of tension, and from the peak of tension, go to the peak of relaxation. See, if you relax and then tense, you end up tensed. But if you tense and then relax, you end up balanced. And that is why Spanda has to be there before Nishpanda. There is a very beautiful practice from SVyasa called cyclic meditation. It is based on this concept. There is activation, relaxation, activation, relaxation, activation, relaxation. When you do it that way, the ultimate relaxation is more pronounced than just trying to relax. We did also some studies where you just lie down in Shavasana, you have some relaxation. But if you do a few asanas and then you do Shavasana, the relaxation effect of Shavasana will be more. So always when you have done some work, the day that you have worked hard, you will sleep well. It's as simple as that. Spanda Nishpanda, very beautiful instant relaxation can be done any place. And I always end my sessions with this slide. Because for me, gratitude is the highest attitude. As a human being, I think one of the most important emotions we need to feel is gratitude. We have been given the opportunity to be born human. An opportunity to be born human. We have been given an education. We have been given an opportunity to become a teacher. One of the highest respects I have is for teachers, because it is the teachers who mold the future. And this is why I always feel the teaching profession should be the highest in any nation, because the work with the children, the work with the young people, that is what molds the future. And seriously, to be gratitude, to have gratitude, to be grateful. Because from gratitude, then will come the next attitude, which is seva, which is to serve. And to serve is to live a good life. So for me, gratitude is the highest attitude. And that's why I always end with a gratitude slide. And this is our team at the university with one of our events recently. The website is very simple, sbvu.ac.in, and CITER is the center. Email is yoga@mgmcri. I will share this PPT later on with Dr. Kashinath, and you can please share it with the participants.
Sure,
And
sir.
as I said, it will also be available on SlideShare. It will be available in other places. And I believe in sharing. I believe sharing is caring. And I always believe that the more you give, the more comes back. So with that, I will be concluding this session. If any questions or anything you wish for me to deal with, well, we can do it. I think I've gone way beyond my time, but.
No issue, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for such a playful and wonderful session. So you said you will give one punch message, but every slide was a punch message. So we'll take one question quickly is how to encourage the current, present students who thinks that yoga practice is boring, old philosophy and all that. So how to encourage them to do yoga?
Well, I think my lecture today should have given you my approach to it. You have to make it fun.
Yes.
Yoga has to be introduced as something that is fun, that is lively, because if we say sit down and meditate, they will not come for the next class. So what we do is that we make it very playful, very joyful, very interactive. And one thing that the young people really like is that when we address their needs, I talk to the young people from their position, not from where I am. We need to approach where they are. What are the needs the young students have? They have a lot of energy. They don't know what to do with the energy. Give them practices where they can use that energy. They need to let go of emotions. How to use the emotions in a positive way, culturing positive emotions. So I think in one word, I would say the most important aspect is to make it playful, joyful, and fun. So any aspect of yoga, if we make it fun, I tell you, I have kids who started when they were 5 years. They are now 25. They're still coming to me. And the reason is it's fun. So I think that's a very important aspect of all learning, but especially yoga.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. One last question, sir. So many people have asked it, how to control anger?
That's a good one. You have asked the wrong person because I get angry a lot. I think anger is an emotion that we have made the villain. Anger is not a villain because anger is a very beautiful tool. And if we can use that anger and channelize it, it can become a laser beam. A laser beam can both destroy as well as save a life. Laser surgery can save a life. A laser gun can kill. Anger is like that. Anger is the most powerful emotion. And if we can start to go above the emotion, you know, in the movie Avatar, they had this movie Avatar, all the people will be blue. And, you know, there will be these big birds that they have to fly. They have to get onto that bird, connect that bird to their tail, and then they control that bird and fly. And in that, there will be that very big bird. And the hero of the movie, they will say, how can you get on it? He will go above it, and from above he'll come down because that bird will not expect anybody to from coming above. It is always looking down only. The emotions are like that. If you try to approach the emotion from down up, you will get lost. But if you start to take a deep breath, very simple thing. When you are angry, start to do deep breathing, and suddenly you start to go above the anger. And at that point, you will start to use the anger in a positive way. Again and again in my life, I've seen that. A very simple thing, as we said, left nostril breathing, 5 minutes, suddenly you go above. You have taken the elevator. Breathing is the elevator to go above anger. And when you go above anger, you can use it as a positive tool of transformation. The second option, Om Japa. The mantra japa is a very beautiful tool because the mantra japa will attenuate limbic system activity. The limbic system in the brain is where all the severe emotions are. So at that point, whatever japa you like, whether it be Om, Om, or Rama, Rama, or Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, or Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya, or Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Radhe Krishna, Om, Om. Doesn't matter, whatever is comfortable to you. You want to call Ave Maria, you want to call Allah, whoever you want to call. You want to call yourself, call yourself. Aham Brahmasmi, call yourself the highest self. That japa will bring down the emotions. And suddenly the buddhi, which had been shut down by the emotions, will come back into play.
So, thank you, sir. It was a very wonderful session. It was a very playful, and you made all our audience to understand such a complex, complex theories into very simple form. And thank you very much for accepting our invitation and coming here, spending your valuable time with all of us. So we will look forward to listen you more in the future also, sir.
Definitely. You just call me. I'm just a call away, always.
Thank
Namaste, Dhanyavadaha. Thank you so much for your patient listening and for being such a wonderful team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.